Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 308 of Screw the Commute podcast. Today we're going to talk about shooting video for business. And I've said copywriting is the most important skill in my entire business career. Well, I think second is creating videos for my business. It's meant many millions of dollars to my business, and I've never even had one go, viral. These are strategic videos to promote your business. And I mean, just one of mine has made over 10 million bucks. All right, so we'll tell you about that later. Now, I hope you didn't miss episode 307. That was called Super Fast Recurring Income. And it's a method to get others to give you monthly income. And it can happen very quickly if you can just increase your skill set a little bit. And some of you may already have the skill set. So if you missed that, grab it. Now, I've been having some good feedback on some of these tightly targeted, quicker episodes and instead of some of the interviews I've been doing. So you're going to see more of these in the future where they're short but targeted. Now this one might be a little longer because I know so darn much about this topic. I've been doing video for 40 some years now, I think so. Anyway, we'll get into it here in a minute, but make sure you grab a copy of your automation ebook at screwthecommute.com/automate free. That is something we sell for $27, but you get it free for listening to the show, and it'll help you steal business from your competitors because you'll react much faster to inquiries and all kinds of other things to save you a lot of work and keystrokes. While you're at it, grab a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. So you can take us with you on the road. It has all kinds of cool features, and we have video instruction and screen captures so you can see how to use all these functions so you're not out in the cold, and you'll really enjoy taking us with you on the road. Now, we're still sitting here in the middle of this pandemic, and people are freaking out because they got displaced from their job. Yeah, there's a comeback. That's great. The economy's coming back. But I hope it was what we would call a rude awakening for people that I've been preaching for years, that no matter what happens in the world, if you have this skill to be able to sell things around the world on the internet, unless the internet disappears, which chances of that happen are pretty slim, then you can make a living. It's like an insurance policy for your family and for you. You really should get your kid. I mean, all over the news lately is like traditional colleges have been screwing people over for years. Enormous amounts of debt. People are running up and they have no marketable skills. So we're totally against that. My school's been operating for 12 years, helping people get real skills that are in super high demand. Every business on the face of the earth knows they need online presence, social media, shopping carts, all the stuff. So email marketing, everything that goes along with having an online presence. And you can provide this skill because most small business people are too lazy or they feel like they couldn't do it, or they're just too swamped just trying to bring a nickel in every day, that they don't concentrate on this stuff, and they can pay you to do it. So I formalized this training in my school. It's imtcva.org. It's distance learning, so wherever you are in the world, you can get an internet connection. You can learn this skill, and it's a great legacy gift for your kids, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, rather than throwing money at them and buying them a car, which is going to be worthless in a couple years, where this skill will give them a career very, very quickly. So if you'd like to discuss it with me, check it out at imtcva.org. Get in touch with me. We'll discuss the future online for you and your family. All right, so let's get to the main event, shooting video for your business. I've broken this up into different sections. So the first little section is called the overview. And a lot of times some of the simplest stuff that you've heard over and over just doesn't sink in until you have a disaster. Well, the first tip of my whole thing on video for your business is back the darn video up when you shoot it. Okay. I had a guy one time come in here, worked 3 months. I thought he knew what he was doing. He worked 3 months on a video, and all of a sudden it disappeared. And I said, well, go to get the backup. He had not backed up or even saved any of his video work for 3 months. I was ready to blow the roof off of this place. All right. So nowadays you can set your, and we're talking about shooting most of this on your cell phones. You don't have to have a fancy DSLR or camcorder. I'm just going to talk about cell phone. They're shooting TV shows on your cell phones now. So back the darn thing up, make sure it's automatically uploading to the cloud and so forth. So that's your first tip. And then you got to decide, am I going to shoot vertical, horizontal, or square even nowadays? Well, for the longest time, we'd make fun of people that shot a vertical video because that wasn't the way you did it. You shot horizontal. But now there's venues for horizontal video, or for vertical video. So you need to kind of decide ahead of time because it just doesn't look that good, and it's much more difficult to switch them from horizontal to vertical and back. See, so decide which venue you're going to be shooting at. Most of the time you'll shoot horizontal, but I think places like Instagram and stuff and other places now, there's new places coming all the time, can handle vertical. Then here's one of the biggest tips of all. Put your phone in airplane mode before you start shooting, because I can't tell you how many shots have been ruined and people complaining to me that they had the best shot take that they ever had and then the phone rang. Okay, so put your phone in airplane mode. All right. Now, another big concept is people will put up with poor video but not poor audio. Now, I'm not trying to tell you to shoot poor video, but I will tell you that if people can't hear it, you're done with. If they have trouble seeing some things or it's a little shaky here and there, that flies. That's no big deal. In fact, in some cases, it adds excitement to your video. I had a guy working for me that was Emmy nominated, and he said that's, part of that adds excitement to the video if it's not just perfectly talking head all the time. So don't be afraid of that, but make sure you get good audio. We'll talk about that later. And then don't be afraid to shoot on location. In fact, a whole day of our video weekend, there's a 2-day video weekend that we do here at the Retreat Center in Virginia Beach, where the one full day is on location. It's all over Virginia Beach, showing you how to create marketing videos that are exciting and fun based on wherever you are. It's one of the best trainings you could ever get on video for marketing your business, because if it's always you sitting in the same place saying the same things, that's not exciting. But if you're out and about and you can shoot a marketing video, that's exciting to people. All right, let's talk a little bit about your performance. Well, you need to wear appropriate clothing. Now here, avoid large amounts of red, large amounts of black, and large amounts of white. The cameras don't handle that as well. And also make sure you don't wear something with very close patterns, because it creates a thing called a moire effect. It's M-O-I-R-E with like a little accent mark over the E. And if you want to see examples of this, go to YouTube and just type in moire effect and you'll see how bad it looks. So be careful with that. Also, if you have glasses, be careful about glare on your glasses. See, people want to see your eyes, and if there's a big glare all over and they can't see your eyes, it makes for you look like an alien, makes a terrible looking video. Sit forward if you're sitting down. Don't sit back in a chair. It makes you look really dumpy. And a lot of times on TV sets, we put a small pillow behind in the small of your back to remind you to sit forward. You look so much better. Don't wear any jangly jewelry that'll make noise on your microphone or reflect light and start this big light show around your head. Don't do that. And then wear makeup, both for men and women. Chances are women are going to have makeup on, but guys, blow it off. Well, what that means is they're going to have a 3-day looking beard because the lights cut clear through several layers of skin. And if they're a little balding or a big forehead, that's going to be a big shining light off of it. So yes, use makeup. All right, now I'm going to give you now 14 different types of video you need to know about for your business. And we teach you all of this stuff in our video weekend and our video training and our mentor program, but each one of them has a certain way to shoot them. And I would take 2 hours for me to teach you all this stuff, but I want you to at least know the different types of videos. And of course, you can print out the show notes for this episode to have a big checklist of them and all the other stuff we talk about today. So one is a traffic driving video. That's where usually on YouTube, it's shot a certain way. Like all of these are shot differently. You know, they all have little quirks. And if you mess it up, you really, you not only do you look stupid, you will not get the results that you're looking for. So traffic driving is to catch people on, say, like YouTube and drive them to your site. Now, another one, and we think is the best bargain on earth when it comes to paid ads, is called an in-stream video ad. That's where all of you have seen on YouTube, the one where you can click the skip button. Well, that's got a certain way that you shoot it. And you definitely don't want to say, click the link down in the show, in the description. No, your ad is on top of somebody else's video, and you'll be sending them to their description, not yours. All right. So you don't say that. You say different things on an in-stream ad. Anyway, it's the best bargain. A website welcome video is a different video that you have to learn how to shoot. Some of the ones I developed are called lifestyle to sales, lifestyle to email sign up, and lifestyle to engagement. Those are kind of videos that I don't know, I just called it a certain thing, but they're shot an absolute certain way. Day in the life video. It's one of my most visited videos, is day in the life of an internet multimillionaire. And boom, it's, 175,000 views or something. Again, not millions of views, okay? But it gets the job done, all right? Now, training or how-to videos. Now, these ones that were actually purchased. So somebody bought your video. Then you have a training video that's leading to a sale of a product, different type of video. And then training that's leading to an affiliate sale, different type of video. Then a testimonial video, but this one is a testimonial for you. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on how to get those out of people. And then another type is testimonials by you. There's a value of doing testimonials for other people that are credible and good quality people because you're exposed to their crowd, see? Interview videos. This is where you have one or more people where you're interviewing, different type of video. And then I mentioned earlier the impromptu on location video. That's very exciting. So that's 14 different types of video you have at your disposal, but you have to learn the quirks of each one to make them get the results that you want. All right, so the next little section is called shooting tips. Well, one thing you usually want the camera level with your eyes. See, shooting up makes things look bigger, and shooting down makes things look smaller. And I learned this years and years ago. Oh, geez, must have been 35 years. I don't know. Let's see, 20, 30, almost 40 years ago. I was one of the only pageant producers, independent pageant producers for Hawaiian Tropic. And we had a big stage, and they always shot the videos from low to high to make the girls, and I'm not trying to be sexist here, I'm just making a point, make their boobs look bigger. All right. Oh, sorry about that. See, I should have turned my phone off. So low to high makes things look bigger. High to low makes things look smaller. It reminds me of a scene in Meet the Parents where Ben Stiller was in they were getting their tuxedos fitted, and Robert De Niro was thinking that Ben Stiller was a pothead. And so the shot was high to low to make Ben Stiller look really, really small. All right, let's see. Don't zoom. Professionals rarely zoom. It's the sign of an amateur when you see too much zooming, and it makes people nauseous. Shoot close up most of the time. That means fill the frame with things rather than making you pick something out of, that's 100 yards away and you're trying to show. No, fill the frame. Now practice holding the camera, okay, without putting your finger over the lens. And then also practice moving it smoothly from left to right and right to left. Usually you put your elbows against your own body for stability and hold it with both hands and move it slowly and smoothly. Now, a little jumpiness, like I said earlier, doesn't matter, but you don't want it to, make people nauseous and it's bouncing all over the place. Now, framing. That's where is the person in the shot? Well, think of it like a tic-tac-toe board, the picture. And then in general, you want the people their face to be at the top 1/3 where the tic-tac-toe board crosses or the right-hand one or the left-hand one. And you see that in photography all the time where it's kind of balanced. It's usually not right in the center of the frame. And headroom. You don't want to look like, where's Waldo? Okay, so you have to, and in fact, what I say is just watch TV and see how much room above a person's head you almost always see. Well, you want to frame your shots that way so that it's the most pleasing and what people are used to seeing. You don't want somebody's eyes just peeking over the bottom of the frame. Now, set up a place in your home or office. Now, we do a thing with video backgrounds, and we'll have a link in the show notes. Or you can just search Google for a video that I did called Lighting with Cookies. Lighting with Cookies, and then put the word anti on, because I'm not the only person on earth that's done a video about cookies. Cookies are a thing that make a beautiful pattern on the back, on your wall behind you as a nice background. It's way better and easier than green screen, looks beautiful, and way less complicated technically to do. Lighting with cookies. Now, in-car videos can be exciting. Now, don't crash. Don't say, Tom told me to shoot while I'm going down the highway. No, I didn't tell you that. Have I done it? Yes, but I'm not telling you to do it. Don't crash. Pull over somewhere. But close your sunroof if you have one. Get a sturdy window suction cup mount for the windshield, or an air vent mount. But if it's hot and you're blowing the air conditioning, you don't want to have the phone right on the air vent because the noise will be crazy. It'll sound like you're in a wind tunnel. Now, I highly suggest you use a clip-on microphone when you're in the car, even if there's going to be those noises, if the air conditioning's on, or if you actually are moving, which I'm not telling you to do, but if you are, you'd like to get the best audio you can, so you usually use a clip-on microphone. And also make sure that, the video, as best you can, is eye level. I see a lot of these ones where the video is way down at the bottom of the dashboard, and they'd have to be stopped. It'd be just too dangerous to do that while you're driving. Keep it level with your eyes most of the time. Now, selfie sticks. We still love selfie sticks, but get yourself a really good one, because the cheap ones are just flop around, and sometimes you can hear the cheap metal when it's bouncing around on your video. So get a good professional level one. And then also keep it level with your eyes, and you kind of brace it with your elbow against your hip, and then you adjust the length and the angle of it so it's shooting very horizontal right at your eye level. So it just takes a little bit to get it set up, but then it'll make a nice video. If it's tilted up, you see a bunch of sky, it looks stupid, and if it's too low, it looks stupid. Okay, last thing on shooting, learn about frame rates. See, if you set the frame rate on your video wrong, the smallest little motion can make your video blurry. So I usually shoot, and you don't have to know what this is right now, but I usually shoot at 60p as a good average to make things look nice. And if something moves quick, it doesn't go all blurry on you real fast. But sometimes you'll want to make things have a film look, but then you can't move too quick in it. It needs to be more surreal looking. So those are all called frame rates, and all your phones, you can set them if you just learn how on your iPhone or your Android. Okay, next little section is what to include in your business video. Well, one thing you can do is use an establishing shot if it makes sense. Now, when I say establishing shot, think of the old TV show Cheers, where every show started with the outside of the building to show where they were, and then boom, they cut to the inside of the building. So if that makes sense for you so people know where you're at, do that. If it doesn't matter, then don't do it. Now, you want testimonials from people, but you need to coach people on testimonials. Yes, you want them to honestly say what they believe about what you've done for them, but one of the best tips is called a 45-degree testimonial. Because most people that aren't cool with looking at the camera or used to it freeze up and they bumble through it, and it takes three days to get one testimonial out of them. So we do what's called a 45-degree testimonial, where we have someone ask them a question off camera. The camera is pointed 45 degrees to them. They're not looking at the camera. They're looking at the person that's off screen. And the person might say, well, hey, what'd you like about Tom's retreat? And so that person is supposed to repeat the question and then tell the answer. So they say, well, what I liked about Tom's retreat was they picked us up with a limo and we had our snacks that we asked for in our rooms and all this stuff. Well, then we cut out the person that asked the question and just use what the person giving the testimonial said, and you can get a nice testimonial like on the first try. Okay, so that's a 45-degree testimonials. Now, sometimes the people are slick and they look right into the camera. You can edit a bunch of them together and just put it in one video on your site instead of having a bunch of long separate ones. You can edit the best thing that they said and rapid fire them in one video. So that's just another way to include testimonials. Include credibility shots. So let's say, like for instance, on my videos, my bank statements. Well, the bank statements aren't, they're not moving. They're not like interesting to look at. It's just a bunch of numbers. So we use an effect called the Ken Burns effect that I'll talk about more in the editing section. But it's a way to take still photos and make them look like they're moving. It's all electronic. It's all done in editing. All you have to do is take a picture of things. So credibility shots would be your bank statements. Publicity things, like if you've been on the covers of magazines or if you've been in magazines or featured in things, then you can just take pictures of their mastheads, and then the Ken Burns effect can, make them move all over the place and look very cool. Include any awards that you've gotten in the video, either talk about them or show them. Now, another shot that I like to put in is called a candid. That's behind the scenes. People love to see how the inner workings of a business, so put candids in. Now, you can see all of these kinds of things if you go to greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, and there's a video on the homepage that's the one that's made about more than $10 million. It's hard to tell exactly how much it's brought in. I don't really know for sure, but it's been going for like 13, 14 years and selling stuff of mine. But all of these elements that I'm talking about are in the video. So it'd be worth it for you to see, oh, wow, there's where he did a candid. There's where he did this 45-degree testimonial, all these things. So it's all in there. Another thing to put in your video is demonstrate your product if it's appropriate. Shoot your product or service in action. Show you working with a client, those kinds of things. Make sure you get their permission. And have shots where you're talking with a customer or client and they're talking back and telling what they learned and thanking you and all those. It's kind of a testimonial, but it's an interview kind of thing. Okay, so that's some things to include. All right, next little section is equipment. Well, make sure you have extra battery packs or you have the camera plugged in so that you don't run out of battery, because it eats up a lot of battery doing video. Get yourself a tripod. Get yourself a regular full-size one and a little bitty one that the legs will like wrap around a railing or something so you can be on the road and shooting video. Your one full-size one, you want a thing called a fluid head. Photography tripod only is vertical and horizontal, but video has to move sometimes. So it's called a fluid head because it'll move any which direction you want. You might want to get a gimbal, but it does take a lot of practice. This is like a stabilizer that can make all kinds of cool shots, but I got to tell you, it does take practice. I have one and it takes a lot of practice. Again, get a selfie stick, make sure it's good quality. Now, microphones, you're going to have clip-on microphones for this. This is different from podcasting, like I'm talking to this giant microphone. Well, no, for video, you want either a wireless or a wired clip-on microphone. A lot of times, since they've changed the connections on the iPhones, it's been hard to get one to work. So make sure it claims it will work with iPhones, because it's just a waste of time to buy one and then it doesn't work. So, but you need it because if you get more than a couple feet away from the camera, the audio starts going bad. And what was the first thing I said? People will put up with poor video, but not poor audio. So make sure you have a microphone that'll work with your camera. Now, when you're shooting what's in front of you and narrating what you're seeing, you don't need an external microphone. The camera is right next to your mouth almost, see? But when you're setting the camera up on a tripod or having someone else shoot you, you need an external microphone. All right, next section is lighting. The biggest mistake people make is what we call backlighting. They have a bright light behind them and it makes their face go dark. That's terrible. Indoors, we highly suggest you use artificial lights. Buy a little cheap light kit off of eBay so that you have consistency, because like I have a big open space here with, big windows and everything. But if at nighttime, all that light disappeared, and the early evening, it's kind of in between, and daytime, it's really bright, so you can't get any consistency. So we use artificial lights. Now, make sure you use some type of diffusion. That's something that makes the light look softer instead of real harsh shadows. It's like a handkerchief kind of material in front of the light. And a lot of times the ones you buy off eBay will have what's called a light box. It's like instead of a tiny little fixture, the tiny little fixture is in this big box that diffuses the light and makes everything look nicer. And they're not that expensive. Gels are usually colored that can change the color of the light, and we use them frequently on the background. When you see that lighting with cookies video, I think I mentioned that already. You can put different colors of these gels on it and have really beautiful patterns on the back wall. You can even start out really cheaply with the construction light. I bought a $9 little floor model construction light. I mean, when I say floor, it's little tiny, it sits on the floor. And it included the bulb, and the bulb would cost $30 at the video store. But the whole thing, the fixture and the bulb, cost $9, right? But the thing is it's quartz, and it really puts out a lot of heat. So all the more modern lights, like LED lights, you can get for $25. You can get an LED light that's battery operated, so you can take it anywhere with you. A lot of them have their own diffusers with them, and they're very tiny and compact, and you can take them with you everywhere. So that's kind of the way things go. You might want to get a bag of gravel too. Okay, I know my video guys were wanting me to get weights to hold the lights from falling over, and they were like, I don't know, $60, $70 for at the video store. I said, you're crazy. I just went and got plastic bags and filled it full of gravel. And for $2, I made the thing so that the lights wouldn't fall over, especially if you're outside. Then another thing that's really handy is called a reflector. And you don't need fancy ones that I have. I got plenty of fancy ones, but to tell you the truth, I use foam core boards you can get at Walmart or any of the craft places. And I just get, I think, a 2x3 piece of foam core white, and it'll bounce lights anywhere you want it. And you'll need them when I talk about outdoors a little bit. Okay, let's see. Let's talk about editing. Now, I'm not trying to make you a video editor. Usually you want to get somebody to do that unless you're really gung-ho, because it's there's not only a science to it, there's an art to it. So even if you're able to do it, it still might look like crap. All right. So, but I told you about the Ken Burns effect. That'll take a picture and make it move like it's a video. Looks really nice. Then there's some really cool things to jazz up your video. And at the end, I'm going to give you a link to a Facebook thing that I showed 15 different ways to jazz up your video. But one of them is called jump cut editing. And jump cuts used to be taboo for years, all the years I've been doing this. But now it's where somebody's talking and then it jumps to the next sentence. And it jumps, you can see visually that it jumps. Well, it makes it so much easier for you to do stuff without memorizing because you can do one sentence at a time if you want. And that used to be totally taboo, only done by the worst editors and, accidentally. Now they're doing it on purpose and it's perfectly acceptable. So that's jump cut. But at the end, I'm going to give you, I think, 5 or 6 more ways and then a link to where you can actually see this on a Facebook Live I did. And there's a little bit of cussing because some of the technology went bad on me and I got really mad at the beginning. But other than that, there's a lot to learn there. Now, here's another great tip. You can get free footage for your area from a convention and visitors bureau. These are companies that are made to promote wherever you live. If you live in any reasonably sized area, they got a convention and visitors bureau and you can get free footage. And some of it that I have in my video would have cost me $10,000 to $20,000 for aerial shots. And some of the aerial shots I wouldn't have been able to get because of the Air Force base there. So you couldn't even put a drone up. So Convention and Visitors Bureau. Music can be had from the Internet Audio Guy, Mike Stewart, or Music Bakery. Copyright free music. You don't want to ever use copyrighted music and get the federal lawsuit against you. You can also get transitions and what are called lower thirds to put text on and in between segments of your video. It's real pretty stuff. Don't ever let anybody create these for you from scratch because it costs a fortune. You can just buy them and edit them into your video. Stock footage, we use Pond 5 quite a bit for if I needed, like horses running through a field, I go to Pond 5 and it probably got 100 different shots of horses and I pay $9 and I can use it in my video, so something like that. All right, that's a little bit of editing tips. All right, now outdoors. Well, first of all, bright sunlight is bad. It causes squinting and sweating. So one tip is to go in a park somewhere and find a pavilion. Those are like the buildings that have no walls but a roof, and go in there and shoot your video because then the sun isn't hitting you. Changing light is terrible, and that's where you have a cloudy, cumulus cloudy day and they're moving and the light is changing every couple minutes. That sucks. Overcast is the best. See, I told you earlier about diffused light. Well, the biggest diffuser in the universe is an overcast sky. So that's a beautiful time to shoot. Now, if you are stuck in bright sunlight and you wear a hat, well, guess what? Your eyes just went super dark. And I told you earlier, people want to see your eyes. So what do? Well, you can have a small, what they call kicker light. One of these little LEDs would be perfect for it because it's battery operated. And it's beneath you out of the picture, but shooting up into your face to light your face. Another thing is if you had help or some, way to mount it, a reflector can take the outside light and you tilt the reflector till it shoots under your face. So those are, if you have a hat. Don't just wear a hat and let your eyes go dark. Now, one of the best times of all, and billions of dollars have been spent on this, is called the golden hour. In one of my videos for this TV show in Hollywood we're doing, I think we did afternoon golden hour. Yeah, we didn't do the early morning. So golden hour is from half hour before sunrise to half hour after sunrise, and half hour before sunset to half hour after sunset. It makes the most gorgeous horizon type lighting. So that's called the golden hour, but you got to, be there at the right time. All right, when you're outdoors, you got to think about noise. You've got wind noise. So you want to get like a foam windscreen it's a little black foam thing that goes over top of your clip-on mic. And if it's really bad, you get what's called a dead cat. Okay, and I didn't make that up, and PETA, don't come after me. That's what it's called. It's a real super fuzzy thing when the wind is higher. And there's even more things you can do of hiding the thing under your hair or under your clothing and stuff when it's really high wind. And then you got other road noise, birds, dogs, cutting grass, leaf blowing. I mean, all of these things can ruin your video. So you have to, and if you've heard them long enough, you kind of forget about them, but the video has never heard it before. And it just, like the road noise, you might be out there for a half hour doing stuff and the cars are going by and you don't even notice it anymore, but then it ruins your video. So pay attention to noises. And of course, we're happy to teach you all this stuff in our VIP video weekend. And we can do it during the pandemic with appropriate social distancing. And then one of the full days is outside anyway. So you can check that out at screwthecommute.com/video weekend. Screwthecommute.com/video weekend. Now I'm going to give you some ways to really jazz up fun, exciting things to put in your video, but also there will be a link in the show notes to a Facebook Live. And remember, I cussed a little bit at the beginning, so I apologize for that. But I mean, the technology was just going south on me. I made it happen, though. It's about a 90-minute video, but it shows examples of 15 different things you can put in your video to really make them exciting. So I'll give you a couple of them right now. I told you about jump cuts earlier, where people are just talking, but it's jumping between sentences, cutting out the time between the sentences, and it makes it easy for you. You don't have to memorize stuff, one sentence at a time. But now there's another one called jump cuts with zoom. So every time the jump cuts, you're zoomed in. Remember, I told you don't zoom like, normally, but this is a specialized technique. Each time the cut jumps, you're closer to the camera. And so it's you don't use this all the time, but it really grabs attention. Whip cuts, or swoosh cuts, sometimes we call them. This is really funny. When you see the Facebook Live, you'll see I'm waving to myself, and then the camera goes blurry in one direction, and it ends up on me waving to myself. So it's a good transition if you want to change locations. I just did that one to be funny, but if you want to change locations, you finish what you're saying in one location, and then the camera person swooshes whips the camera in one direction. Then you go to your new location, and then the camera whips the same direction but ends up on you. So it's a transition between two that's very exciting. That's a whip cut or a swoosh cut. And you can put a sound effect in it too, like swoosh. Speed ramping. This is where you have to walk from here down a set of steps. Well, that's a boring shot. So speed ramping can either be, you could do a jump cut where you're walking down the steps and then you end up at the bottom of the steps and keep walking. But speed ramping is where they speed up the video where your feet are going, down the bottom. So that's called speed ramping. Time lapse, and most of your cameras will do this, is where it might put a 10-minute drive into 15 seconds. So you can have your camera running in your car facing out the windshield. And like say, I'm going to Walmart. You start out driving, and then all of a sudden, every place you've been goes swooshing by. It's not a swoosh, but it goes really fast, and you end up at Walmart. That's called time lapse. Another one, a lot of times people end the video with punching the lens, and then they cut right there. So that's a fun way. And of course, sound effects. So that's a bunch of ways to do business videos. And remember, I've done this as the second most important skill in your business. It literally can make you millions of extra dollars over time. And yeah, it can be frustrating getting the lights and set up and lining up the shots and waiting for the dog to quit barking when you're outside and editing in all these important elements. But the videos you create can be online working for you for years to come. I mean, it's meant a fortune to me, and it could for you too. Now, there's tons more details to everything I talked about today. And I'd love to teach it to you in a video weekend. It's one thing you could learn and use for the rest of your career. So check it out. It's screwthecommute.com/video weekend. Also, if you're in my mentor program at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, we can include all that too. All right, I'll catch you all in the next episode. Let's see those videos.